Online, Indonesians and Malaysians fight a lot. Offline,
I don't feel any different from when I was in Malaysia.
what do you think Indonesians and Malaysians misunderstand about each other?
To be honest, Indonesian people are nice. However, like I said, we're brothers and sisters, fight a lot, but in the end, we were still.
So I met this Malaysian student who's been living in Indonesia for 4 years, and his experience is very different from what you see online. When Indonesians find out you're Malaysian, what's the first reaction you usually get?
Upin Ipin. Upin Ipin. There is no other interactions other than Upin Ipin. Oh, Upin Ipin, Kak Ros, Jarjit, and I'm like, over here, people are crazy about Upin Ipin. They follow up with all the updates, the movies, everything. As for myself, the last I've watched Upin Ipin was when I was like 7.
Do you usually get tired of that?
Yeah, I do. In the beginning, it's more of like, do you really have to, put that in the conversation? But as the years go by, it's more of like, oh, okay, I guess they are excited.
Besides Upin Ipin, what else?
The next is the debate on whether something belongs to Indonesia or Malaysia, like batik.
You have lived your whole life in Malaysia and 4 years here. What do you think Indonesians and Malaysians misunderstand about each other?
I think the one thing that becomes a common conflict in between Malaysians and Indonesians is whether this specific thing belongs to who, in that debate, that never-ending debate. I think people should realize that in the end, both our countries share a lot of similarities. And within these similarities, of course, there are overlaps, right? Like batik. But then again, with batik itself, there will be some similarities. Designs might be the same, shapes, colors. I mean, we were all under one big
Rumpun.
Yes, rumpun. One rumpun before we got separated. So if we really look back, way back in terms of cultural and all that, we all started at the same point. And as we grew as the years went by, we separated our both ways, Malaysia and Indonesia. One country builds its own nation, another country builds its own nation, each with their own religions and beliefs. Some people, I guess, they're sensitive and get offended by those kind of small things, but really, in my opinion, people shouldn't get offended by that. I mean, like I said, we are brothers and sisters, fight a lot, but in the end, we were still, if we really look back in history, we were just one point in time together. Yeah.
Maybe that's how we bond to each other. How we connect.
Those arguments maybe allow us to bond more, realize that, maybe for this person, their perspective is like this. Why don't I help and, change their perspective in a positive way to understand both parties? Yes.
Online, Indonesians and Malaysians fight a lot. Offline, what has your experience been like actually?
For a fact, I can safely say that I have been welcomed by the people here. I've been appreciated, loved, cared about. I don't feel any different from when I was in Malaysia, Yes, maybe like in Malaysia I speak full English. But over here, I speak in Bahasa Indonesia. But even early on, when there was a language barrier for me, people still accepted me. They got me involved in activities. They wanted me to hang out with them. They wanted to get to know me more as much as I wanted to get to know them more. So I felt a sense of family, safety, assurance here.
What about the online debate? Does it also happen offline?
For personal experience, no. I've never really had a heated argument or a debate with an Indonesian not at all. And even in those online forums and all that, I personally don't participate in that because the way I look at it, if I don't have anything directly to do with that issue, I have no rights to comment on whatever that is.
So it's just something happen online?
Yeah, something happens online. You just have those one or two people who are really sensitive about things, and then that becomes a misunderstanding. So I think that's what the main problem is. A lot of misunderstandings.
But people also just ask you jokingly.
Yes, correct, jokingly and all that. And I do understand that they are interested in knowing me more, and then it comes with the jokes. So it's not bad. It's not bad.
Do you prefer Indonesian food or Malaysian food?
You
have to answer this.
I have to answer this. There are some Malaysian foods that I can't find here, and then there are some Malaysian foods that are here, but they're not authentic enough for me. But if you're talking about cultural food, I would say Indonesian food has more flavor and spice. Yeah.
That's it. You don't
want
to defend Malaysian food?
Not that I don't want to defend Malaysian food, but as a Malaysian, naturally, when I go back to Malaysia, obviously, I would really love to sit down at a mamak and have some teh tarik, roti canai, mamak mi goreng, that kind of thing. But I know that in my heart, that Malaysian food has a really special place back in my heart because, it's my daily bread and water, But when it comes to Indonesian food, it's something new, exciting flavors that I've never had before, so both deserve their own recognition.
Okay. Acceptable. Before you came to Indonesia, what was Indonesia to you?
I've never been to Indonesia before I got the opportunity to continue my education here. In my mind, I was thinking that, oh, maybe Indonesia is like Malaysia, where yes, they have their own national language, but on daily communications is based on English. I've heard from people and friends who have been there, they say the Indonesians are nice. So, I've gone with that assumption that Indonesian people are nice, friendly, helpful, that kind of thing.
After 4 years here, what has changed?
To be honest, Indonesian people are nice. That hasn't changed. You have people from different backgrounds, different cultures, different religions, but there's still a sense of solidarity. And it's really amazing to see how the people of Indonesia really stand up for one another to protect one another. However, I have had some interactions with specific people where they assume that because they are older or they've been here longer, they have the right to step on those who are new. Can I give an example?
Hierarchy.
Yeah, hierarchy. For example, you have someone who's really senior. However, their experience on paper is not that much. But you have someone who is somewhat new but has a lot of experience prior to that. And this new person, they have done a lot more, right? And they're doing things correctly. The one up there gets a bit of jealous and all that, and then they try to bring that person down. So there is that sense of hierarchy there and a sense of jealousy sometimes. I'm sure there's some similarities back in Malaysia, but from when I was working in Malaysia compared to what I'm doing here, I felt it more here. It could be because maybe I'm not originally from Indonesia and maybe that's why they are triggered about it, but I did feel it personally and it did hurt. So yeah, that's just the unfortunate things that have happened to me recently here.
So in conclusion, how do you describe the Indonesian and Malaysian relationship today?
It's really close-knit and I've seen it myself. For example, the recent natural disasters have happened in Sumatra and all that. We have Indonesians from Sumatra who are in Malaysia, and we also have Malaysians who are actively trying to find ways to give aid to those districts, province that are affected by the natural disasters. By looking at how viral it has become on both countries supporting each other, I think that, in terms of closeness, I think we're really close and really solid bond.
Should we go closer than it is? How should it be? Next.
My hope for the future, for those Malaysians who are watching, Indonesian people are really nice. Yes, there is some stigma, when Indonesians come to work in Malaysia, they're like at the bottom caste kind of things. Those are just, people who are trying to find extra ways to support their family, support their kids. And, that stigma should really be reduced because Indonesian people, if you look around, everyone's lovely, they're kind, we share the same things, we are all supportive of one another, As for me personally, I was at one point in my time here in Indonesia, I was quite down, but I got picked up by an Indonesian, and picked up in the sense that I was supported by my friends who are here and they've guided me through a lot of processes that I didn't even know of, and that's how I'm able to survive in Indonesia until at this point.
Do you have any message for Indonesians?
As someone who has experience in the healthcare sector, in medicine, what I really find that something needs to be done is road safety. The way I look at it, people, especially motorists, they find wearing helmets as an option. Okay, sure, if it's your preference, you don't want to wear a helmet while riding, okay, fine. But, I've been in the healthcare sector. I've worked as a medic in Malaysia before, and I am doing hospital care services here as well. And I can clearly see the difference in terms of when someone gets into an accident in Malaysia and Indonesia. Honestly, it's much more worse here. People just don't seem to understand the importance of a helmet, even if it's a close distance, And I just find that a bit sad because, as someone who really cares about life, wearing a helmet doesn't really take too long. You just put it on, you click it in, and you can be on your way. So maybe people of Indonesia can, take a look into this in terms of the safety of their own rakyat.
Not Diplomat Channel.